Computer-aided audit tools and techniques. To illustrate how application controls are tested, this section describes 5 CAAT or computer-aided audit tools and technique approaches, and those are test data method, including base case system evaluation and tracing, integrated test facility, and parallel simulation. Kung yung naunang na-discuss na topic tungkol sa testing computer application controls na about examine several techniques for auditing computer applications, dito naman sa CAAT i-illustrate kung paanong tinetest ang application controls. Test data method is used to establish application integrity by processing specially prepared sets of input data through production applications that are under review. Test data method is one of the most important computer-assisted audit techniques. So itong test data technique is nakabase sa auditor's creation of input data and processed by client's application. Bali yung test data na i-input ni auditor ay kina-contain ng correct and incorrect data. Kapag yung incorrect data ay na-enter na sa system, ina-expect ni auditor na yung input ay mare-reject. So yung magiging result ng input procedure ay ika-compare sa auditor's expected result para ma-determine kung yung application ba or yung system ay gumagana ng maayos. Creating test data. Auditors must prepare a complete set of both valid and invalid transactions. Ay nga, kinakonsist siya ng correct and incorrect data. And if the test data are incomplete, auditors might fail to examine critical branches of application logic and error checking routines. Test transactions should test every possible input error, logical process, and irregularity para malaman kung may kailangan pa bang baguhin or i-develop sa system or application. Base case system evaluation. When the set of test data in use is comprehensive, the technique is called the base case system evaluation. Itong base case system evaluation ay isang special case ng test data na nire-require lahat ng inclusive set of test data para matest lahat ng possible data and processing condition. Itong approach na to ay nakakapag-provide with much more assurance kay auditor kumpara sa test data. Ang disadvantage lang ay time-consuming siya and magastos. Tracing. It is the another type of the test data technique. Performs an electronic walkthrough of the application's internal logic. The tracing procedure involves 3 steps. First step. The application under review must undergo a special compilation to activate the trace option. Dito, kailangan munang mag-undergo or ma-enable yung trace option para sa application. Second step, specific transactions or types of transactions are created as test data. Last step, test data transactions are traced through all processing stages of the program, and a listing is produced of all program instructions that were executed during the test. Figure 7.17, Examples of test data and test results. Ito yung mga selected list for hypothetical transactions and accounts receivable record na prepare ni auditor para matest ang sales order processing application. The figures show an error report of rejected transactions and a listing of the updated accounts receivable master file. The difference between the actual results obtained and those expected by the auditor may indicate a logic or control problem. Figure 7.18 illustrates the tracing process using a portion of the logic for a payroll application. Sa illustration, meron dalawang payroll files, a transaction record showing hours worked, and 2 records from master file showing pay rates. Yung trace listing sa baba, yun yung nag-identify kung yung program statements ay na-execute na and the order of execution. Analysis of traced options indicates that commands 0001 hanggang 0020 were executed. At that point, application transferred to command 0060. This occurred because the employee number of the transaction record did not match the key of the first record in the master file. Then command 0010 through 0050 were executed. Advantages of test data techniques. There are three primary advantages of test data technique. First, they employ through the computer testing, thus providing the auditor with explicit evidence concerning application functions. Dahil computer testing nga itong test data technique, nag-enter lang si auditor ng data sa application and nakakapag-provide na agad ng result. Second, if properly planned, test data can be employed with only minimal disruption to the organization's operations. Minimal interruption lang yung mag-a-appear sa organization operations basta nag-function ng maayos yung system. Third, they require only minimal computer expertise on the part of auditors. Disadvantages of test data technique. First disadvantages of all test data techniques is that auditors must rely on computer services personnel to obtain a copy of the application for test purposes. Dito pwede magkaroon ng risk agad. Computer may intentionally or accidentally provide the auditor with the wrong version of the application. Second disadvantage of these techniques is that they provide a static picture of application integrity at a single point in time. Hindi sila nagpa-provide ng suitable evidence about ongoing application functionality. Walang confirmation na yung application na tinitest ay gagana ulit during the year under test. Third disadvantages of test data techniques is their relatively high cost of implementation, which results in audit inefficiency. The integrated test facility. Integrated test facility approach is an automated technique that enables the auditor to test an application's logic and controls during its normal operation. Itong ITF, isa siyang built-in test environment within a system. Kadalasan ginagamit itong approach sa mga large scale. Sa ITF databases contain dummy or test master file records with legitimate records. Yung ITF variation din siya ng test data technique. Ang kinaibahan lang sa test data technique, kina-compare ni auditor yung result sa expected result, while sa ITF, ina-analyze ni auditor yung ITF results against expected results. Figure 7.19 illustrates the ITF concept. Advantages of ITF. ITF technique has two advantages. First, ITF supports ongoing monitoring of controls as required by SAS 78. Second, applications with ITF can be economically tested without the intervention of computer services personnel. Disadvantages of ITF. Primary disadvantages is may possibility na makorrupt yung file. Second disadvantage, steps must be taken to ensure that ITF test transactions do not materially affect financial statements by being improperly aggregated with legitimate transactions. This problem is retrieved in two ways. First, adjusting entries may be processed to remove the effects of ITF from general ledger account balances, or second, data files can be scanned by special software that remove the ITF transactions. Parallel simulation requires the auditor to write a program that simulates key features or processes of the application under review. Kung sa test data and ITF techniques, yung audit test nila ay nakabase sa simulated data, sa parallel simulation, si auditor gumagamit ng actual data which is processed with clients and auditors program. Creating a simulation program. A simulation program can be written in any programming language. Steps in performing parallel simulation testing are outlined here. First, si auditor ay dapat may in-depth understanding doon sa application with complete and current documentation para maging accurate yung simulation. Second, the auditor must then identify those processes sa application na critical sa audit. Third, the auditor creates simulation using 4GL or Generalized Audit Software. Fourth, the auditor runs the simulation program using selected production transactions and master files to produce a set of results. Fifth, finally, the auditor evaluates and reconciles the test results with the production results produced in a previous run. And yung parallel simulation is best technique for verification of calculations.